you told us that you completed your masters at the age of 52. So was there any push that you felt at that point of time in life that I should go and do masters now?
Definitely. What happened is, my mornings were being just not very well utilized. And then I used to devote times at night to study and to find out and do research and things like that. So my wife told me that, since you are just drinking tea in the morning and staying, one of my friend who also had done his MA in a very late stage so why don't you consult with him and do something?
Most of the audience of our podcast are students studying bachelors and masters. So let us know what freight and logistic are and how important it is for a country.
There is plenty of opportunities here, but you need to be really very cautious on certain things. What the new startups are thinking is that they are working into talent. Talent is not going to give anything. They need to be tactful.
Like when we have a huge organization like the World Trade Organization itself, when it is trying to penetrate the Nepalese market and trying to help the Nepalese market, what is it that we are lacking? Like, are we very much scared of doing this, of plunging into it, or why are we not doing it the way we should do it?
What you need to understand is that the multilateral agreements, like the agreements that you do in like with the World Bank, is that the WTO, is that we are supposed to incorporate what we agree in WTO with the bilateral or the regional agreements.
Are we not losing our human power? Are we not losing our human element?
We are. India is also is the same case with all the South Asian countries. Most of the countries are having that problem. See, it is the right. I think people are frustrated here. And when they go there, they are very much homesick as well.
So what is that something that you like to tell to the students, especially from us, like students of B schools, as a success mantra?
See, there is nothing called the success mantra. You have to work into your skills. You have to identify what skill you have. As I told you before also, don't, concentrate too much on your talent. Try to be more disciplined. So discipline is much more important, And then don't only look into money. Look into the value that money is going to create.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a really insightful talk. And I feel that our listeners and audience will gain a lot of value from this, and especially the students who are studying in the business schools. And they will get something to learn and get some moral values that they'll keep apart from our main topic. Are there any books that you want to recommend to our friends?
See, I'm not a very good reader. All I do is, I listen to a lot of podcasts of different business, people who are succeeded in life, other things. The last book that I read was The Kite Rider.
Ah, okay.
So that's
Khalid Hussain.
Yeah. So that's the only one that I did. It's been long that I have not read books, but I listen to podcasts, and I listen to motivational speech and other things.
Sure. Welcome to our listeners and viewers. This is Voyage, a podcast series undertaken by the Publication Club at Kathmandu University School of Management, in association with the World Trade Organization Chairs Program. Launched in 2022, the program aims to enhance understanding of the multilateral trading system among academics, policymakers, and civil society in Nepal. In today's episode, we will delve into the complexities and opportunities within Nepal's trade and logistics sector. We'll explore the constraints and explore potential role of business support organization, the impact of international relations, and the startup ecosystem. Today, we are honored to have Mr. Rajan Sharma sir as our guest in this exciting new episode. Mr. Sharma is the former president of the Freight Forward Association and a distinguished expert in international logistic management. He has a profound understanding of the constraints to export. Additionally, he is affiliated with the prominent business support organizations such as the Federation of Nepalese Chamber of Commerce and Industry (FNCCI) and the Confederation of Nepalese Industry (CNI). His extensive experience and insights are valuable for addressing Nepalese trade concerns, making him the perfect guest of our podcast today. Good morning, sir. How you are feeling today?
Good morning. I'm feeling okay today. It's a Saturday and it's very sunny outside. It's not too hot, so I feel good.
The atmosphere around Kathmandu is really good right now. Before we begin with the podcast, let us get comfortable. And for that, I guess I need to ask you about from your childhood. Let's start with your childhood, like where you studied, and how you progressed in life.
Okay, I started my educations from Darjeeling in a place called KUSOM in a school called Dowville. Um, so we come from a very remote village in Jhapa that is called Bhanudaya Nindatar, which is connected to Ilam. And from there, since my father also studied in Darjeeling, one of my cousins used to live in Kurseong, so we started studying in Dowell School. After I finished my school, I came to Kathmandu. Kathmandu happens to be my mother's hometown, so my mamagar. And then I started studying here in Kathmandu. Initially, I came here to study science, but since our results of ICSE, the school leaving certificate, was very late, I missed the admission. So I joined a private college, which was very famous at that time, called People's Campus, and with English, economics as my major subjects. And then went to Trichandra for my BA examination, for BA classes. There I did with economics and English. And then later on in my life, at around 50, 52, I joined MA and did my MA in sociology and anthropology. So that's how I've reached Kathmandu. But right from the time that I came to Kathmandu, I started working. Initially, I worked as a school teacher, and then I went to a hotel, worked in different sectors of the hotel, from telephone operators to receptionists to lobby and other places, and then joined a freight forwarding and a travel agency company for nearly about 11 years called Jet Express. I worked there, and then later I started my own company called Quality Freight Service, another company called Quality International, which is about export and import, and then a Quality Travel Service with all the experience and that I had earned. So that's how, I now do my freight forwarding business, in which I was also the president for 10 years. I represented FNCCI with the same organization as a member, Commodity Association. And now I do my freight forwarding business, as well as I work as a very short-term consultant for the World Bank, International Trade Center, sometimes for other developing, partners, donor agencies under the trade and transport components.
Thank you so much, sir. That was a lot to digest at once, and I can't believe how you are able to do so much in such little time. But then you told us that you completed your masters at the age of 52. So was there any push that you felt at that point of time in life that I should go and do masters now?
Definitely. What happened is, my mornings were being just not very well utilized. And then I used to devote times at night to study and to find out and do research and things like that. So my wife told me that, since you are just drinking tea in the morning and staying, one of my friend, who also had done his MA in a very late stage so why don't you consult with him and do something, because whenever I was applying to international agencies for work and for doing some consultancy job, the requirements were very high as far as my education is concerned. So the college happened to be very close to my house, and then I could just walk there, and about 2 to 3 hours a morning, and I could spend that time there. And then that's how I was motivated to do the studies, to continue my studies. And because I needed a degree in order to, apply for different, research works and other things, because that was the basic requirements.
Thank you, sir, for the info. Now, let us slowly move on and delve deeper into the topic that we are going to discuss. You are still a member of the World Trade Organization, and we are doing this podcast in collaboration with the WCP, World Trade Organization Chess Program. So today, the basic thing that I'd like to ask you is that you were the president of the Freight Forward Association. So most of the audience of our podcast are students studying bachelor's and master's. So let us know what freight and logistic are and how important it is for a country.
Okay, good. The importance of freight forwarding and the logistics service is very, very important, and it is more important for a country like us, which is landlocked. Okay, we say that we are land connected, but because we don't have access to sea, and we have to cross another country in order to export our goods. It is not only, when we talk about trade, you have to understand two things. There are domestic trade, which is done within the country, and there is a trade bilaterally we do between two countries, and of course with the neighbors the trade is much more high. And then we have regional trades, as well as we have international or far away from the sea, the third country trades that we call. So in order to make trade happen for a country like Nepal, the logistics service providers, they play a very big role, in the sense that they do the connections. What you need to understand is, when you're sourcing raw materials, until you do a finishing of the product, there are some activities that take place. So in that activities, there are a lot of actors that are involved into it. And each actor has its own responsibility and liability as well. So what the freight forwarders do is, they connect among the different actors in the logistics supply chain. For example, when you're sourcing wool from China, Tibetan wool from China to make, carpets here, the wool is only not coming from China. There is another blending that we need to do is from New Zealand. There is a wool that comes. So these two countries. Now the importer might not know the requirements of the country, or it might not know the requirements of the supplying country as well. So what the freight forwarders does is, they give them the information about how it can do. They give them the suggestion on how, based on the quantity and the nature of the good, what means and modes of transport that they need to use, whether it is good to bring it by air, whether it is good to bring it by sea, or whether they should bring it as LCL cargo, less than container load, or it should be, air-sea combination, or so different type of techniques. And then when trade is happening, it is crossing different borders. There are some compliance that you need to do. For example, if you are bringing goods from China, the goods might have to come to Tatopani or to Rashwa, if it is by road. If it is by sea, to Visakhapatnam or to Calcutta or to Haldia. So there are rules and regulations. These countries are not within our reach. Yeah, and then from there has to be a lot of transshipment for the goods to bring into Nepal. And then when goods come here, there are methods of how you consolidate, especially when it comes to small enterprises who cannot bring a full container load, and they have got small loads of goods. So all this, and then you have to understand that when all this is happening, there are a lot of procedures that you need to comply, not only within the country, beyond the borders as well. There are a lot of documents that you need to do. There are a lot of actors with whom you need to deal with. There needs to be a flow of money for the service that they provide. There has to flow of information, tracking and tracing of the goods in the different place. So all this consolidated work is done by the freight forwarders and the logistics service providers, because the industrialists are supposed to concentrate on making their products or giving their services and enhancing their. They are not supposed to be, dealing in other things, which is beyond their reach. So that's where the logistics service provider comes. And not only this, sometimes what happens is the logistics service providers themselves become the owner of the goods as well. For example, if there are 5 importers in Nepal and they are importing goods from Thailand, all 5 cannot bring one container of load, because the logistic cost is going to be very, very high. So what the logistics service provider does is, through his agent, where they do a bilateral agency agreement or an ad hoc agreement based in different of different logistics service providers in that importing country, say Thailand. What they do is they consolidate to make it one rule. And then the shipper becomes the Thailand's freight forwarder, and the consignee becomes the Nepalese freight forwarder. Once the good comes here in the customs, they do the distribution through what you call is house or bill of lading, because it comes, the main bill of lading is called the master bill of lading and the house or bill of lading. Similar things happens in case of air with master airway bill and house airway bill. And that is how, the rates are economized, because Nepal's logistic cost is said to be very, very high. Yeah. So based on that, that's where the freight forwarders and the logistic service providers comes to tell you in short. They help you in the documentation to comply with the procedures, give you a good suggestions. They help you reduce your freight cost, and they keep the tracking and the tracing of the cargo that is coming and moving, whether it be export or import.
Thank you so much, sir. That was really insightful. So, while doing all these things, we know that Nepal doesn't have an active port of its own. We have to rely upon countries such as China or India, our neighbors. There has to be a lot of bottlenecks that we have to face while we are importing goods, be it from Visakhapatnam or Kolkata or Haldia or from ports near China. So what are the major bottlenecks that Nepal faces? And are there any measures undertaken by the Freight Forward Association themselves, or are there these problems undertaken, any reform methods undertaken by the government to look into this matter and solve the bottlenecks?
See, the basic bottlenecks that the freight forwarder and logistics service providers face in the variable costs, whenever the goods are moving from one port to another, the cost keeps on changing, whether it be labor costs, whether it be a terminal handling cost, or whether it be a freight cost itself. And then to give a guaranteed landed cost is very, very difficult. Yeah. To address this issue, the government of Nepal, negotiated with India and said that to bring the goods up to, the dry port in Birganj, that is ICD, we call it. Yeah, there are ICPs and ICDs, and you need to know the differences between these two also. The ICDs is rail bound, and the ICPs are road bound ICPs. Yeah, so there is only one ICD at the moment. The other one is coming, that is Birganj, and then Biratnagar is coming up slowly, and we are trying to extend it to other places like Nepalganj and other places as well. So what happens is that the negotiation with the transit providing country needs to be really, really very strong, so that we don't have control over that. So that's why, our variable costs are very high. This is one biggest problem that we have. The other thing is, we being landlocked, the freight cost for a landlocked country is already very high, because there are no shipping companies inside Nepal, a registered shipping company operating from Nepal. Everyone is operating from Calcutta or from Chennai or from Bombay or from and other places, and they are giving agencies to the people in Calcutta and other places. So what really happens is that, to link with them to get a better freight cost is really very difficult, because, we don't have that volume to get a very good freight cost. So we want shipping companies to come to Nepal and cater here. The other thing is, transfer of finance. As I told you, in logistics and supply chain management, the transfer of goods, transfer of information, and transfer of finance, along with the transfer of documents to one another, is very, very important in supply chain. So if there is a small discrepancy in payment, the methods are very, very high. That is the biggest constraint that we have at the moment. So we are looking into, bringing in shipping companies inside Nepal, so that the payments can be made here, the bookings can be done here, the liabilities and any discrepancies in movements, if there is any, can be settled within Nepal. So the dispute settlement, is also very, very difficult. So this is something that is happening in Nepal, and then the government is, aware of this issues that the freight forwarding and logistics service providers are facing. They are wanting to solve it, but we are just trying to figure out. What you need to understand is recently the Nepal came with a logistic policy. Now, policy is just a framework of some sort of a guideline. So there are a lot of laws that needs to become come to Nepal. For example, we don't have a warehousing law as yet. We don't have a cargo or freight forwarders act so far. Yeah. So we don't have so many things. So we are working. ADB is working, World Bank is working, and together with the Ministry of Commerce and Supplies in order to make things happen so that it is easier. But it is very difficult. It is happening in a very slower pace. So we wish it was done more faster, so that the trading within Nepal or trading beyond borders become very, very easy.
Yeah, very easy and convenient. And smoothly. If we can increase our export, then obviously some way or the other we'll be having an upper hand in this thing. So relating to that, what do you think is the current position of Nepal when it comes to export, and how much are they importing? So how much are we importing and how much are we exporting? Because as per the data, it was something like 1:10. That means like for when we are importing 10 items, we are just exporting one. So that's a huge margin. And how can Nepal look into it, and what are the measures that we can undertake? We can take with the help of World Trade Organization as well. And since Nepal is a member of WTO for such a long time now, so how can Nepal increase its export, and what potential do we have? Where are we not heading towards it? Why are we not doing it? So there are a lot of questions that are asked to you. So I guess you'll have an answer for that.
See, what you need to understand is export doesn't happen just because we have products. For export to happen, the importing country needs to have the demand. So the importing country, unless we have that capability to create that desire for a Nepalese product in their country, we cannot export. We cannot say that we have this, and we want to export, please take my goods. Because that country has a lot of mandatory and special requirements and restrictions for certain items, especially the developed countries, they have that. So we need to look into this. That means you have to look into the market preference, you have to look into the market trends, and you have to look into the quality that they are looking, so that their citizens, their consumers in that country are not affected by that product. This is one thing. Now, when you talk about the trade gap, 1:10 or 1:15 or whatever it is, it keeps on changing, is that you need to understand that is with India. Yeah, but what are the goods that we are importing from India is gas, gasoline, and oil. So does Nepal have the potential to have that? We don't. Our resources are not there. So when that resources is not there with us, we have to import that. That's where that gap is seen. But having said that, the mindset in the business scenario or in the government is that we cannot reach our goods to those markets. What I feel is, I don't know, I could be awfully wrong as well, If a Bangladeshi juice can be sold in Nepal, if an Indian juice can come to Nepal, and then equally from England and for any other foreign countries, third country, from, Europe and America to Nepal, and if there is a consumer in Nepal, are there no consumers in those areas where they prefer to the Nepalese fabrics or of the Nepalese shoes or Nepalese whatever products that we make, or Nepal herbal products, or you say tea or coffee or pashmina or anything? So where we are lacking is we are only looking into increasing exports, but we are not looking into penetrating into market, creating value to the clients there, and then increasing slowly. True. I've seen buyers who come here and who buy about 5 square meters of carpets and go. And then in a period of 5 years, they buy 1 container. And then I've seen some buyers who have even bought 19 to 20 containers a month. So that should be our issue. Only bigger ones, exporting and a big quantity is not the big thing. We have to start small. We need to win hearts of those people in those destination markets in order to make things happen. So that is where we are lacking. And then we are not complying with quality. To comply with quality, we need to have certifications. We don't have right type of labs that can, facilitate our exporters to, certify. Or even if we have, the process, the procedures, the document are too lengthy and too long. So there are certain things, the on-time delivery, that we need to do, just-in-time delivery, the kind of systems, and delivering the right products are some very big issues that Nepal has to think very strongly in order to make things happen. And believe that, we have to start small and we can increase it. For example, we need to first increase the regional trade or the bilateral trade between two countries. See how we can increase it from below 3% to maybe 5 to 6%. But are we having policies to address to that issues?
True. I was coming to that.
Yeah. We need to look into that also. So that is my answer to your question. I don't know whether I answered everything. You had asked a lot of things. So I think your question was, why is there trade gap? And then how could we, increase exports? I hope, I answered that.
It is really not a short answer that we can say that this is where we are lacking. But then, as you say, it is very true that we do not go to the other countries and look from their perspective. What are they wanting from us? How can we offer that product to them? And we can do a market study in that market, in their market as well, and which will be very helpful to us as well. So with this, there is an increasing demand for from private sector that they want to do business in Nepal, and also there is kind of a startup boom that is happening all around the world, especially with India. It is happening a lot nowadays, who is our neighbor. So what do you think, what is the role of private sector in increasing the trade and facilitating the trade in Nepal? And do they have opportunities or not?
There is plenty of opportunities here. But, you need to be really very cautious on certain things, What the new startups are thinking is that, they are working into talent. Talent is not going to give anything. They need to be tactful. This is one thing. The other thing is, you have to have the right attitude. You have to have the skill as well as the knowledge in order to have that. But at the same time, you have to be able to perceive, and that capacity to perceive doesn't come just like that. You have to deal, you have to be involved into it, you have to do a lot of study, you have to do a lot of research, you have to hear to many people and not jump into conclusion. Sure. This is one biggest problem. Why the private sector is not doing very well is that probably because there are some policies regarding issues. We don't have raw materials. We are bringing raw materials from other countries. We are not finishing it very well. But I think that market link, that marketing technique, that branding that is needed for a Nepalese product. We have a lot of product. We have Mount Everest with us in the tourism sector. We have so much. But how many big shots in the world have so far visited Nepal? What is it that they're lacking? It is not the nature that is not giving them the opportunities. It is the infrastructure that is missing here, right? We might not have the type of, vehicles that they want. We don't have the roads that they want, or we don't have the hotels or the food quality that they want to have. That is something that is, or the connectivity is not very, very good. That security level is not there. So there are so many things that we need to see that needs to be addressed. The other thing is, the young generation is really very, very weak in resilient resourcefulness. What I mean by that is that the capacity in order to deal with challenges and setbacks. That is a little bit missing. It's got to do with a lot of with the emotions and things like that as well. So if we need to work in this sector so that, we are aware what are the requirements. Is it politically acceptable or not? Is it environmentally friendly, economically or financially viable? You know, so these type of things, and then the legalities, tenability in the legal side is really very important. You must know the rules and regulations, how you are going to fight back if there is any setback or anything like that. What are the rules that are going to help? So there are so many things that you need to consider.
Are there any policies that the government is actively trying to make, or are there a lot of potholes and loopholes that are there which the government needs to stitch really soon for fostering a culture of investment?
No, investment is another thing. To increase the export, the government will have to look into the export policy very much. They need to bring about some changes, the incentives, the market linkage issues, the branding issues. There are so many things, incentives that they're going to give to the people, to the exporters, making easiness and doing business, in increasing means decreasing the use of documents, going into automations, negotiating with terminal operators and other places in reducing the export, fees and charges that are enabling, that is increasing, subsidizing in the transport or in the air transportation. See, all these things will be giving a lot of opportunities for Nepal for exporting. So I think these are some issues that we need to do. And then for the incoming, people, the policies needs to be there, and they need to have that feel-good factors. And I see a constraint for investment is that, there is not a very nice dispute settlement, provisions in Nepal. To address to different issues that might come into. You have to go to international court. The repatriation is not being permitted very well. There are restrictions in certain things, for bringing in foreign investment. So these type of issues, if it is addressed by the government, the ease of doing business becomes much more, the attraction becomes much more. So what we need to do is we need to understand the nature of investment that we want first. And once we understand the nature of investment, we need to understand what type of facilities and what type of things will that investor need in order to bring into Nepal. Not generalize, because each might have different. A person who wants to come with technology has a different requirement, whereas a person who wants to come to develop a product has a different requirement, and one to come for a service has a different requirement. So what is it? You have to go person by person or investor by investor and make it compatible. Now in Nepal, the main thing is there is an investment board. Investment board says that we'll make everything easy for you. But investment bank cannot make everything easy for that, because there are corresponding different agencies in Nepal who are already responsible for that. And they don't have link with this. It is not only having a secretary as a member in the investment board, that the total different intermediary agencies within that ministry. For example, if you talk about Ministry of Commerce and Supplies, Ministry of Commerce and Supplies have different wings, like for making trade happen, like NTWCL is there, Nepal Transit and Warehousing Company. There is Nepal Intermodal Transport Development Countries. There is a ministry, the Department of Commerce is involved there, and that FNCCI and all in the private sector within their ministry, within the government industries also. So there are some important informations and some scopes of job that have been given there. So that consultancy, everything needs to come before you make. I've seen a case study of a logistics service provider wanting to come here, making a very big, show in Yakineti Hotel, exchanging letter of exchange and other things. But it didn't happen. Because why? Because that link with that and the responsibility that was given to that entity was not been able to fulfill. So there are a lot of things that we need to work, and we need to discuss with from small to bigger experience, FNCCI, CNI, there are other business support organizations, which they have to come in a collaborative manner with the government and put their, demands and advocate properly so that, things can happen.
Like when we have a huge organization like the World Trade Organization itself, when it is trying to penetrate the Nepalese market and trying to help the Nepalese market, what is it that we are lacking? Like are we very much scared of doing this, of plunging into it, or why are we not doing it the way we should do it?
What you need to understand is that the multilateral agreements, like the agreements that you do in like with the World Bank, is that the WTO, is that we are supposed to incorporate what we agree in WTO with the bilateral or the regional agreements. Now, in the case of Nepal, is that we agree certain things in world in the World Trade Organization, but we fail to incorporate in the bilateral. So what you need to understand is the bilateral or the regional agreements always supersede, or the national agreements, national provisions always supersedes the multilateral agreements. There is a very wrong conception that we have WTO, so everything will happen. No. WTO will tell you, what you need to do in order to bring about a change in your policies or your agreements with different neighboring countries or with others in order to make things happen. But if you don't incorporate those things, and if you don't have that negotiation capacity to put it, why sign in WTO then? This is one very big issue. And WTO is an organization, I don't know whether I should say it or not, but it has got a lot of say with the developing countries. Developing countries, people have, their lifestyle has increased and their demands are increasing. They're becoming more environmentally, socially more cautious, and the climate change and other things are also, a big issue in their country. So they have some restrictions. So we need to understand whether we can keep up with those restrictions or meet their, requirements in the destination market, as I told you in the very first question that you asked me, right? So those type of policies are needed here. Only then the vision of WTO will be successful. It's been 34 years from the day we initiated, WTO. 20 years signature. After signature, 20 years have already passed. Yeah. So total, if you see from the time we started stepping into WTO, this discussion started as 34 years, as I was informed in Kathmandu University during your events there. So not much has happened, and we are still lagging in certain, measures that WTO has set. And once we meet with those, I think we will be able to have a better.
We can say that we are still juggling with the paperwork and we are not getting out of it and plunging into the market itself.
See, things are happening in a slower pace in Nepal. This is because change of governments is happening, political turbulence issues are coming up. This is one side. I feel the negotiation is also lacking. For negotiation, you need to have more knowledge and other things. The priorities are different for different governments. There are Congress governments, there are communist governments, there are different type of governments. The priorities are different. So based on that, I think there is more confusion from our side rather than from the WTO side, which we can, is not giving us the result that we were looking for.
Is it like because of this political turmoil that we have, that we face on an average? Also, we since democracy came, we can see that no government has served the nation for a full tenure, and uh, as the investor summit was also concluded some time back, there is a hesitation from big companies to come and invest in Nepal. And is the political turmoil a major bottleneck in that aspect?
I see it as a major one because what you agree with this government might not be agreed by others. So for an investor, that makes a very big difference. So I see that as also a major problem. But for certain things, no matter what the political scenario is, those things needs to remain constant. For example, foreign policies, security policies, or business policies. This type of policies, should not be touched by any political It should be more in the hands of the bureaucrats to comply with what has been agreed early, and not bring about a change. Or to bring about a change, there should be a very big, majority in the parliament to bring that big changes. So there is a fear. Not having a very absolute majority in the parliament also has a very good, is good for Nepal, because they cannot bring about the changes so easily. And having so many working together could also be a problem, because the priority different changes for different political parties. So this is a little bit confusing, but this is a major constraint for foreigners to come in. Um, it's not only with this, but it's also with the financial discipline and accountability and other things. So we need more in the service sector, so that that corporate culture that the foreigners have, the accountability, the liability towards the citizens and towards the government, and payment of taxes and other things, this can be taken place. So Nepal is learning. In one of the interviews, I said that every time you have an investment summit or something, the same topics are coming up, but it's not bad to have the same topic, but we are expecting that new topics will come next year. New things will happen. We only learn from the different events that we have, and hopefully we can do better.
Hope is the only hope. Sometimes we say that, and we always should pray and hope for the betterment. But then, still, one question that I just got in my head is that Nepal also plans to come out of the LDC and graduate from LDC, least developed countries list, to a middle income nation. So, which would affect its duty-free privileges with the European Union and all. So why is Nepal not fully utilizing these privileges currently that it has, and how can it prepare for a transition from LDC to a developed nation, a step towards the developed nation?
There are two things, when everybody likes to be graduated. You don't want to stay somewhere. You want to graduate as well, yeah. But for graduation, there are certain, qualifications that you need in order to meet them. So there are some labor laws and other things with the ILO and with other contracts that needs to be rectified by Nepal. So when we graduate, the facilities that we got as an underdeveloped, least developed, landlocked, least developed countries are going to go away. Is it really going to go away, or are they coming? Are the countries coming up with a new package? Is also another story which is unknown so far. We are talking about GSP Plus and other things that might come for Nepal. So we have to watch and see, but we cannot say that we don't want to graduate. But we have to keep working on what are the requirements for graduation. It's like preparing for exam of graduation in order to qualify. We cannot say that, no, we don't want to qualify, we want to become a Dayako Patra, or, be miserable and always seek for some help from someone developing countries, and then our goods has to be there, we'll have to earn, so help us. This attitude has to change. The mindset has to change. So that's what I feel on this.
When there are adversities, we need to look into it head on.
Yeah.
And as William Shakespeare says, sweet are the users of adversity. So we need to have plans to change adversity into opportunity.
Yes.
And it is a big aspect, and we should have that willpower. And I feel that the government itself should generate this willpower into every person's life, so that they have a positive approach towards things, isn't it, sir?
Yes. So I agree with you. Yes, there has to be a positive mindset. The government will have to work into it with the right policies and with the right lobbying, with the right people at the right time, so that we can make things happen.
Most of the countries nowadays, we see that sometimes the countries which are not a lot developed, like ours, which is on the progress of developing, they sometimes face this debt trap that happens to these countries. It's like Sri Lanka, how it went bankrupt. So in the context of our country, there are a lot of projects in these hydropower projects are being initiated. So do you think this foreign direct investment is good or not in this aspect?
See, two things in this. What I feel is that when I see other countries that have prospered, for example, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, these countries, they're fast growing. South Korea, they grew very fast. When I do a study there, what I find out is that they have exactly done what the donor agencies have identified and asked them to do. But in case of Nepal, I don't see that. Donor agencies are always looked into as doubts. You know, I'm working as a part-time consultant for World Bank and for other agencies, as I told you. I face that problem, So if they do what they are supposed to keep on doing, I think we would grow faster. When the region is trying to integrate, we are trying to disintegrate. For example, you take the BBI and motor vehicle agreements. There are other provisions that the donors are bringing in order to, help connectivity and then regional cooperation and things like that. We don't want to participate. So is it really Nepal wants to be isolated is the biggest question. So we need to be more open. We need to see it. And then, it is agreed first and then disagreed. Be it for any, agreements that you make in the regional basis or in, for example, BBI and M motor vehicle agreement. We all agreed in Bhutan and Bhutan backed up and Nepal is also not going to the speed that means taking the momentum as it is supposed to. Yeah. So these type of issues are always there. And then the government is also, confused. And the right type of stakeholder consultancy is not being done. Yeah? So what I feel is that, we should really evaluate and analyze our situation in such a manner with all the pros and cons. And then target and find out, triage, which is of most priority, which is of the second priority, what intensity we need to give to those, and then work collaboratively with the private sector as well as with the region. And for this, the biggest thing is the negotiation capabilities. And you can't do a good negotiation until unless you understand be able to understand what the other side wants. So we always need to hold our head high. When we sit down in a negotiation table, both of them are of the same rank, same things. We need to show our power in our capacity to perceive and to predict and make things for the country. So that's how I look into this. Once good analysis is done, and then we identify what are the things that we need to address, and we make the right strategy for that. With consultancy of all, I think we can achieve more.
Most of the questions that we have today in the list, most of it is prepared by our students from BBA and MBA. So they are still studying business in Nepal and coming from a business school. Now they have a lot of questions relating to which sector should they plunge into and what are the different kinds of opportunities that Nepali people have as an entrepreneur and in which sector should Nepalese people invest?
See, this is a very tough question. Every newcomer has got its own passion. Sure. So you should do something that creates more passion for you and creates more value. You should not target into your talent, but work into your right attitude, right skill, and right knowledge. You just need one skill to succeed. That's what I feel. But you can, generate and master other skills as well, which also gives you a lot of, capacities to sustain. If one fails, you grab the other. Yeah. But you need to link it. So whenever you are jumping, there has to be certain things that you need to keep in mind is that, you need to be able to understand the context of situation in a better manner. Be emotionally attached to it and know if there are adverse emotions that are influencing you, how you are going to manage it. Yeah. And you have to have plan B, plan C and different things together. What Nepalese people are doing is, they are sometimes too much carried away and they believe if two partners are there, having the same knowledge doesn't work, One has to be strong in something and the other has to be strong in another thing so that, they can merge together to bring out a big boom. So that is also not happening. For me, as products of business is concerned, the sky is the limit. You can do anything. You can do anything. What I am surprised is that, any newcomers that are coming, out of 140, that's what I found out, the new starts up, about 140 in Nepal. That's quite a huge number. And then I was going through 47 of them, the first 47 of them. Most of them are in, trekking, travel, apps, food, and garments a little bit, and things like that.
Yeah.
What potential I see is in the agro sector of Nepal. It's not only tea and coffee, or cardamom or ginger or turmeric, other essentials, other herbal products, where we can work. We can do plantation, even vegetables for different for Arabian countries. So the main thing is understanding the destination market's requirement and complying with the government's rules and regulations, maintaining financial discipline, seeing that the business is sustainable, eco-friendly, taking care of all the people that are working inside, and having a very good legal background in order to come back are something that is very much important, and the businesses will have to connect with the emotions of the people. The business will have to have a story to tell them.
True.
We'll have to have ambience that attracts and suits them better, and it's not only price. You could be high. There are so many goods that are coming into Nepal, but see, the brand items are also selling very well.
Yeah.
So there are clients. Identifying the right clients, are some techniques that could help a newcomer, to invest in Nepal. But when you talk about what are the sectors, there are a lot of sectors. Logistics is one sector, working it different. Recently, Upadhaya came. They are doing things very differently from what other logistics service providers were doing.
True.
I like it, So there are products like tea, and then tea also. CTC tea is also going abroad now. It's not only orthodox and other type of teas that we are selling. So garments can be a very good. The government has come with hemp, using hemp. So hemp has got a big potential. You need to identify the niche market. You need to meet with that market. You need to develop in research and development. You need to have the right technology and be able to have the capacity to sustain and stay there for a longer period of time. You cannot make things happen just like that.
No.
You have to have that patience to wait and see till the success happens. So I think these are some things that you can do in order to invest and succeed.
And for this, I guess there needs to be a lot of patience. And there needs to be a kind of motivation coming from the government side as well, that we are willing to help you. You just take a step. And there is this thing of rampant increase in students going abroad. The government, they are spending a lot to teach them from their primary, elementary to secondary, higher secondary. And as they complete their graduation, they just move out of the country, go to another country. And we just say that it is good they are going for educational purpose. But how many of them are returning? Are we not losing our human power? Are we not losing our human element?
We are. India is also is the same case with all the South Asian countries. Most of the countries are having that problem. See, it is the right. I think people are frustrated here. And when they go there, they are very much homesick as well. Yeah, they come back. For example, my son went and he came back. He wanted to do something, but he found it so difficult. Now again he wants to go back. You see? So the right policy, the constant, the mindsets, after they study in that country, that broadness they have, the system that is there, attracts them at last. They wish the same system happens here. Here, you need a lot of link. You have to be biased. You have to be able to, be very, very tactful. You must know how you're going to, do other things without being caught by the government. So all that they can't perceive at all. That's the thing. And then they go for a small thing like making a restaurant or, for a small business like app and things like that. And that is not paying in the last, or their talents are being used by somebody and then, they're not getting paid. They get frustrated and they go back. So this is the scenario. This is really bad. So right policies, right mindsets is the big issue in an underdeveloped country like ours. It is not only us that we have this problem, but the young youths will have to be taught in their college in a different way now. That feeling for the country, that feeling for the society, that feeling that is lacking for the parents, that for the old age and things like that, that visualization has to be given to them well in advance before they decide to go and jump out. You can't be to yourself. You can't be too individualistic. Nepalese are not individualistic by nature. That is not our character. So we need to understand that, we have a larger responsibility. We have a country to make it. That patriotic feeling towards the country is missing. And the education system in Nepal is not creating or doing much in order to enhance that patriotic feeling that a student or somebody going abroad will have to have. And government is comfortable. People are going out. They are earning money. They are sending foreign currency. So as long as the foreign currency reserves are there for 5 months, 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, 2 years, they feel that, oh, why does export have to happen? But they don't understand that that too is going to drain one day. And then we need to have, that is going to exhaust. How long? So everybody is looking into the short term. The students are looking short term. Parents are looking short term. Government is looking short term. Any investment that is coming is looking short term, make money, get away. So this is something very bad, which needs a visionary leader. And then this can create, and this will happen only with the coming of time. And it is not something that it happens overnight.
True. We have seen that there is an increasing trend of youth who are taking the post of big people, and we see that in Kathmandu itself now we have a visionary leader working for the people, and we see that youth has that power in themselves, but they lack motivation. Somewhere they lack motivation, and we know that there is no environment where they are being welcomed, where they are feeling like, okay, I need to do, when I am doing something for the country is also doing something for me. So from your personal aspect, what you think is, if you can give any success mantra or anything from your end, because you've been working in Nepal itself for so long, and obviously you are a flag bearer who would say that yes, there is work in Nepal, we can make it big in Nepal as well. So what is that something that you like to tell to the students, especially from us like students of B schools, as a success mantra?
See, there is nothing called the success mantra. You have to work into your skills. You have to identify what skill you have. As I told you before also, don't, concentrate too much on your talent. Try to be more disciplined. So discipline is much more important. And then don't only look into money. Look into the value that money is going to create. Yeah. And of course, as I told you again, you have to have the right attitude, that get up. You have to be able to, manage your emotions in different way, because there are so much of things hurdles that you come across. There's so much of people. So the Nepalese people, they're not so much resourceful in order to handle the emotions. They're resilient in handling the emotions, resourceful in handling the emotions. Or they get very quickly carried away, and they get very quickly frustrated. What we have to understand is those who have succeeded as young generation, at least I feel, are those who have walked to the trail, who have walked to the roads of what their parents did. Sure. Creating your own road, creating your own roof, and being successful, and walking the path of parents or the ancestral business and doing good are two different things. People should not get carried away with all these sort of things. The young generation, they need to identify who's succeeding, why, and what mantra does he have with that. You have to create your own mantra in order to be able to succeed in life. But that happens with continuously studying, analyzing, the capacity to analyze. What are the different things that you might come? Thinking out of the box in order to, succeed. So these are some techniques that we can just suggest, but it is easily said than done, I know. But, you should also plunge into it, start very small. Now, if you ask me, I went to Anglo-Indian school. I came from a quite well-to-do family from Japa. My brothers, they said, they also studied, but they said, they will take care of the ancestral property. My father said, no, Sonny, you've seen the bright side of life so far. You need to go to Kathmandu and venture your things out. You need to do it. It was difficult, but we did it. Yeah, we started very small. As I told you, I started as a school teacher. I started as a telephone operator. Yeah, I didn't have money. My father didn't give me money. Money came just like that. I was working as a guide. I was teaching taking somebody to, Swayambhunath temple and telling them what Swayambhunath temple is all about and Bodhanath temple. And this guy happened to be a businessman. He said, you seem to be a very good person. This is my second time you're taking me in a tour. What is your vision? What do you want to do? I said, I want to open my own company. Then he said, okay, I give you this money, you open your own company. It happened. So if that body language, your eye speaks, your ear speaks, the color of your face speaks, if you are true to your heart, and if that communication can be given to the person in front of you, that person is going to help you out. Sure. And things can happen. He gave you business, he gave you money to run that business, and later on you paid him back and you sustained in life. But you have to work hard, My average working time at that time when I was working with Jet Express was 13.5 hours a day, 365 days. This hard work. And that just working hard and not getting any result is nothing again, zero. You write, and then you get a zero in your paper saying that I got nothing. It's nothing. Zero is zero. So you have to, analyze each day what you have achieved, what type of people you met, what lessons did you learn. That is missing with the youths. So these things that if they do, I think they will succeed.
By your words, I remember some lines from the poem by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry, I couldn't choose both. I chose the one less traveled by, and that made all the difference. So it is very true, sir, that we need to find opportunities in adversity, and it is like there is a bleak possibility of light on the other side of the tunnel, but we have to first walk the tunnel to know that.
The main problem is that, there is a very thin line between success and failure.
Yeah.
What we forget is we forget to identify, we neglect that thin line. We think of other things, but we neglect that. That thin is the ignition for your success. So don't leave any stone unturned. Go into it. Go deeper. Find what you can find out from there. The lotus flower. Where does it come from? How did it happen? You know it. So that is something that is missing. I always tell to others also that, there's a thin difference which you have not been understanding. And everybody tells me, every time Rajan sir says, thin thing. But that thing is the thing. That is creating disturbance with me, or that is creating a disturbance between two. That is so thin that nobody wants to talk about it.
Sure. Yes.
So this is being very cautious, very persistent, and then being very devoted, and not being devoted just like that, like doing a prayer for a god or something like that, but, focus on your target and your goals, that's something that will lead you to that success. That's
True.
what I feel.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really insightful, and we digged very deeper into the topic, and it was nice. Now, moving on with another topic that we have.
Okay.
Women entrepreneurs, let's talk about them as well. And MSMEs, the micro, small, and medium enterprises, are critical to economic growth, yet they often face unique challenges to the trade sector. So, my question to you is, do you agree that women entrepreneurs and MSME are often neglected by policymakers in Nepal? And the second is, what policies would you recommend to better support these groups?
Micro, small enterprises are the backbones of the economy, and they are the ones that need to grow into, to different stages and to become big. But we have not seen that happening in the case of Nepal. And women entrepreneurs are there, and then women entrepreneurs are doing lovely, means they are also doing a good thing so far. And then there are some protections for the women entrepreneur as well, as regards wages are concerned, facilities are concerned, incentives are concerned, and then loans are concerned and other things. There is. It is not that there is not there or not. But the only thing is that is not enough. But there is nothing called enough that is happening. You need to harness whatever you've got. Now, the women entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs that doesn't have any gender, saying that, woman or something. So they need to compete equally with men. They should not be asking and saying that, we need to be given this and that and all that. And we are so weak when we are talking about, equality in this age. So I want to speak more on that. They are getting what it is. They need to keep on going for that. But they need to create more success stories and show that they are capable, so that, government also feels that, there are certain other things that they need. And there are already certain things that are need. So the resources they have and the facilities they have to use it to the optimum and in the right places to develop. Most of the funds and capacity building and other things are also focused to women and gender. But what is happening? If you give some, capacity enhancement program, they go abroad again. So we need to identify the real woman who really wants to work here and work in the farms, in the agricultural sector, and give them that facility so that, they can produce a lot. Women have immense, responsibilities. It's not only of the family and children, but for the society also, for environment also, protections and other things. So we need to, give them all these facilities and take help from them and give them the recognition that they need. That's there. And in the microeconomics, we need to have a different policy for micro and small enterprises, These are small things that will grow later. So we need to bring in technological support. They are lacking management support. They are lacking accounting systems. So there has to be a toolkit exactly for women as well as for micro small enterprises. That are all needed. They are weak in negotiation. They produce, they know the knack, they know the system, they can produce things. But the administrative work is very low. They're not aware of environment. They're not aware of how emotion plays in order to sell their products. The economic viability, the feasibility, financially feasibility is not known. And they don't know about the legal matters, or what might happen. So these are some things that, they need with continuous training and knowledge sharing, giving them a toolbox where they need to open this and convince them. Only then they can grow up with the right policy and right regulations for them.
True, sir. And there are a lot of business support organizations as well. Let us talk about two of the such organizations, that is FNCCI, which you have been a part of, and the other is CNI, which play vital roles in supporting businesses. But there is always room for improvement, we know. So are organizations like FNCCI and CNI performing effectively in supporting Nepalese business? And what changes or initiative could we make in the current scenario to implement it more effectively?
See, the business support organizations in Nepal, there are many. Those are the two umbrella organizations, for one for the industry sector, one for the trading and other things sector. There is Nepal Chamber of Commerce, there is the Lalitpur Chamber of Commerce, and then there is Bhaktapur Chamber of Commerce and other chambers of commerce. There is in the village, there is in the province, there is in the districts and different places. And there are commodity associations also, and commodity associations, different ones, I don't know, but what I feel is, the associations have forgotten their rules. They have taken themselves to be a member there or to be holding a big post is a mark of, prestige or mark of power only, So all this together with FNCCI, my suggestion is that we need to revisit the intermediary business support organizations from the grassroots level to aware them on their responsibilities by identify what type of members they have and what type of problems different researches have shown and what probably could be the type of lobbying they should do in the district, in the province and in the capital. Unless we do that, I've suggested this to FNCCI, the Commodity Association Vice President is very close to me and he's taking that very, very positively. So we need to help them, This is what is the nature of So because they don't have that capacity, nobody is going to help them in that constant. So the business support organization or the donor agencies or the research institutions will have to work out this and with the help of the government, with the help of FNCCI or CNI, reach out to the intermediary business organization and then build it from there so that, things can happen. Of course, they are doing things, but most of the things that is happening for those who are in power. Or those business they are in power, So, of course, it is human nature that, I'm in one business, this business is not doing good. If I can make things happen there, if this happens, this is going to benefit me. So why should I go for this and not go for that?
Yeah.
So these type of issues are happening there. I don't say that they operate very perfectly, but there is always a thing called continuous improvement. And this continuous improvement's time has come. That's what I feel. What the association was like when we were there and what the association is like when we are not there. What used to be when we were just working in small committees, we can visualize because we have been away from them. We can see it from the distance. Yeah, the people who are already involved might not be able to see it because they are too near to it, to them. Yeah. But I think the time has come that we need to revisit their roles and identify the sectors and the issues that needs to be lobbied upon. And not only talk about reduction in tax and reduction in facilities and this and that and only, make the bureaucrats, irritated by only saying that, this tax is high, this thing is there. But, what other benefits that they can generate domestically as well as for international trade.
The thing is, like, these organizations could also be like an incubation center where they facilitate these bubbling entrepreneurs and give them a direction where they should be headed.
See, incubation centers are there, and then, the business support organizations are also helping. But the main thing is, as I told you, that desire to change and that desire to take the suggestion has to come from the entrepreneur side also, the young generation also. It is not baby feeding. They are all, after all, coming for business. They are coming of here. If I save you, there is another person that is coming to grab you. So it is competition. It is not about empathizing and then trying to help somebody. It is a competition. So if you lose money here.
True.
So you have to understand it is like war. If you make a mistake in war, then you die. If you make mistake here, you lose money. Yeah. So the entrepreneurs will also have to change their mindsets and then, take help. But they need to know how they are going to take help. They cannot put all their problems together. What are the basic problems? Triage, as I told you, Identify which are the biggest ones. And that also you need to do it very tactful. If somebody comes and he goes and tells somebody that, he's facing that problem, so other will work on your problem and then he will supersede you. So this neck of things that are happening needs to be understood. These are not something that can be done with a incubation center and you go there and there is a ready-made solution for you. There are suggestions, but which suggestion best to use is your mind,
True.
your context, because we can only imagine your context. You are the one you are feeling. You are yourself the maker of yourself, as I told you. There's no one who's making you. Whatever you are or whatever I am is because of myself.
Yeah.
So we need to think it from that point of view.
We should also change how we look into these things, and rather than looking at it from a microscopic view, sometimes we also need to look at it from the macroscopic view, from the eagle's eye perspective,
Yeah.
and look at all the possible results that we can get, and then choose one that is more
Yeah,
viable
detach
to us.
yourself.
Yeah.
Detach sometimes.
Yeah.
Think, doubt yourself.
Mm.
Am I being too biased?
Mm.
Am I being biased to somebody?
True.
Am I too much concentrating there that I'm not being able to see? Let me distance myself. Let me see it from a different perspective. That should be the motto.
True. Very true, sir. I guess we are heading towards the end of the podcast. But
It's been quite long.
It's
so-
been quite long, and it has been a very fruitful discussion. But I still have a little more questions. I don't want to let you go without
Okay.
asking all these questions. So you've also been a member of the Quality Champion program. And under the TIP, the Trade and Investment Program, it is based. So the project aims to enhance the quality standard of Nepali products, especially the ones that we are exporting, which is crucial for international market access, because the quality of goods that we produce and export to them will define the kind of response they'll give to us. So my question to you is that, can you elaborate on the Quality Champion Program under the TIP, which is funded by the European Union? And how do these quality champions help in enhancing the credibility and quality standards of our Nepali products?
See, what you need to look is, it's not only the quality that sells, yeah. As I told you, the product's utility, the effectiveness of how you execute that, and the value it makes to the client is measure. But quality is the major thing also. It is related to health hazards. It is related to other hazards as well. And then we need to, it's being more responsible to the environment and other things. The Quality Champion program is a very good program, which we have about 20 quality champions, and I am one of them. I work there, means I facilitate the program as a facilitator with the International Trade Center, Geneva. And they are groomed and they are taught in such a manner that they can cater to any industry. But we did our research and we did our study based on the coffee industry. Yeah, but we are ready for that. What is good about the Quality Champion is that, the Quality Champions just analyze your system. Identify your different areas where the weaknesses are. Develop different type of KPIs in every sub-unit or units, and see a cumulative, return with enhanced quality, enhancement in the revenue, enhancement in the labor's performance.
Is it like the pestle analysis that we do for the macro environment?
It is.
Or
It is
it's
not
more
only pestle.
deeper?
It is much more deeper. There could be issues as regard men. It could be issues as regard machine. It could be research about layouts of the factory. So we don't want the entrepreneurs to invest money for that production. We don't want them to introduce any technology or machinery. All they need to do is pay the fees to the quality champions, who will design a different session for you based on the need assessment they do to your factory or to your service or to your whatever product that you are manufacturing or you're assembling. And then they tell you these are the things that need to be done. You need to pay to them, of course, 10,000 to 15,000 rupees a day, because they will be designing the session planning, they will be identifying which quality champion is good for this, they'll be developing your means taking record of your what is the result at the moment, what result could it reach, the different KPI indication that they are going to reach there, not make you so much invest in the money side, not technology side and other things. And we are not certifying agencies. But what we do will help you to get certified. For example, I tell you, we did one program pilot project with the felt industry. We went there, we did the need assessment, then again we went there, we gave them the torch, we gave them some changes, we took the before and after photo, what was the condition before, what is the condition now, how much production did they make per hour before, how much production per hour are they making now. We showed them the success stories and they got excited and they want to have ISO. They went for ISO people came, they checked everything and then, went through the books. They've developed a process for keeping records and things like that. And the second, evaluation is going on. They're still certified at ISO 9001. So this is what is the charm of the Quality Champions program.
And how long has it been, and has it been very fruitful till now?
Fruitful. We did our studies and our projects for nearly 28 months. Yeah, over 2 years. We have success stories with 12 different sectors in coffee. One in the the felt industry. So 13 success stories we have. Now we are doing another as a sub-hub. We are doing for baristas, for coffee shops, for exporters and for roasters, as well as for farmers and processors, So let's see, we are going for another 30 and then we are yet to see the results. We have not started the project as yet. Maybe from the third week of this June, we will be starting the project. So more success stories to come.
All the best to you, sir, and your organization as well. We feel that these kind of organizations will not just foster an environment where we thrive for quality, but will also streamline the operations at the same time as well. Having said this, the thing that is very much in the picture nowadays is about climate change and how the products and services that a country produces is environmentally friendly. Because climate change and environmental issues are increasingly influencing the trade policies and practices globally and locally as well. How are issues like climate change, environmental sustainability, and disaster management connected to trade in Nepal? And what steps can be taken to mitigate these impacts?
See, trade has got a very big role to play in all these sectors, because whenever you are trading, you need to be environmental friendly so that it is sustainable for a longer period of time, So climate change is also an issue as regards when manufacturing is concerned, because this is affecting, it is not only about Nepal, it affects the overall globe. Global. It is not only, so we are talking globally, we're not talking locally only when it comes into climate change and other issues. Government has made some standards and some things that needs to be addressed, but the monitoring and evaluation of these processes are very, very weak at the moment. So that needs more, attention. Yeah. And disaster, the business people, what type of factories are you making? It is not only about their factory and their safety in the factory. It is being socially responsible, social corporate responsible to the society. Yeah. And the business people have influence in the society. So they need to, contribute to the society or to different, localities that they are involved in for mitigating the disaster and other things. So tree plantations, not polluting the environment, managing waste properly. These are all, covered by the Quality Champions program as well. So this is the sweetness of the program also. And that way, I think that this program can contribute. But overall, trade has a bigger role to play, whether you are doing manufacturing or whether you're bringing products and selling. The waste disposition at the right place, at the right time, and the right method is very, very important. And then, not sourcing items that are environmentally harmful,
True.
that restrictions that need to be made, being socially responsible for all this, and then planting trees, obstructing landslides, helping people during disaster, flood, or earthquake or anything like that. So this type of things is to be taken into care by the traders, and I think they are doing. FNCCI played a very big role during COVID and other thing. So CNI also did a lot of social work. So we need to continue doing this and
Yes.
make the traders more responsible.
With responsibility, with great power comes great responsibility. And it's very true that we have to look into these aspects with the right kind of mindset as well. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
It was a really insightful talk. And I feel that our listeners and audience will gain a lot of value from this, and especially the students who are studying in the business schools, and they will get something to learn and get some moral values that they'll keep. Also from your experience, the business people and industry people who are already there and playing their game will benefit a lot. Thank you so much, sir, for being our guest for the day. We are highly indebted to you. But as we end this podcast, we just would like to give a big thank to you. And also, we are a student body. So apart from our main topic, are there any books that you want to recommend to our friends? And do you read any books that really motivated you, so you can share that as well?
See, I'm not a very good reader. All I do is, I listen to a lot of podcasts of different business, people who have succeeded in life, other things. The last book that I read was The Kite Rider.
Ah, okay.
So that's
Khalid Hussain.
Yeah. So that's the only one that I did. It's been long that I have not read books, but I listen to podcasts, and I listen to motivational speech and other things.
Sure.
I note down what hits me, and what is good, which I feel is good for me, and I try to preach as much as possible, and then practice what I preach as well.
True.
I do it at the most of times. Sometimes I fail as well. I like to talk. I like to meet people and learn from the real life scenarios,
Sure.
or the real life experience, rather than reading books and other things. It's a pity I don't have time, especially in reading books. But it's not that I don't love to read book, but I do read books. Sometimes, a few
Yes, sir.
pages when somebody comes and says, "I know this is good," but I read it from the internet and from other.
So nowadays the lifestyle in itself is so hectic that people have to have commitments to complete, and it's very stressful, and sometimes they get overwhelmed with this and they cannot get out of it. So can you suggest anything that you do in your personal life that is very helpful to you to calm down and keep a good vision?
Calm down is, just detach from it for some times, take long, deep breaths, get out to the air, and then, think, divert your mind from the actual scenario to another things.
Yes,
and then a lot of new things will come into your mind, and you will approach things in a different manner. What I do is, I try to take out time for my saunas and my steam.
Yeah.
That is something that I do once a week.
True.
Every time, and I enjoy it thoroughly, and I spend nearly about 3 to 4 hours there. I'm on my own and nothing bothered with business or anything like that. Leaving aside that, I like to watch football. I keep on watching football. Yeah. It's I like it very much. Sometimes cricket as well, and then I sing.
Okay. Yeah.
Song is my weapon. I can cheer my heart, I can make my heart cry, or I can, win hearts with my music. So that's been my normal things that I do in life.
Thank you so much, sir. With this, I guess we have come to the end of the podcast. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you. A lot of curious questions.
Yes, sir.
And I think it will be helpful to others. Not that all I say is all correct. I don't want to say that. But I want the students to experience it themselves and get back to me and let me know, and see that, I can also learn from their experiences and enhance myself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.